At Harrington High School, Coach Willis keeps yelling at his team because they aren't ready for the big game. He's particularly mean to his star player Stan, who considers confronting him until his friend forces him to leave. Then a furious Willis flips the bench, causing all the water bottles to spill. A sprinkler suddenly activates, and as Willis tries to cover it, someone approaches him from behind. That night, the teachers are leaving the school after a faculty meeting, and Principal Drake realizes she forgot her keys. When she goes back inside to retrieve them, she's startled by Willis, who keeps acting strange and asking for a pencil. He refuses to let her move, so Drake takes a pencil from her desk and gives it to him. Willis uses it to stab her hand, and Drake retaliates by scratching him with her keys before running away, dropping the keys in the struggle. She checks all the doors and finds them locked, so instead she rushes to the science room to try to escape through the window. Unfortunately, Willis catches up to her, so Drake takes a glass and smashes it on his head before pushing him off. Then she grabs a pair of scissors and runs again until she makes it to the main entrance, seeing Mrs. Olsen outside. Drake begs for help, but Olsen doesn't have her keys, meaning Drake has to return to her office. She finds the keys on the floor only to hear Olsen screaming a warning, so Drake rushes to the door while a bleeding Willis approaches. It takes her a few tries, but she finally opens the door and goes outside, locking it again right on Willis' face. However, Drake drops the scissors in the process, and Olga picks them up to repeatedly stab her. The next day, students begin arriving at the school, and it's immediately obvious how everyone here loves to misbehave. Couples get in fights in the corridors, Zeke drives like a maniac and carries illegal uppers in his trunk, and Casey gets harassed and punched as soon as he gets off the bus. Mary Beth is new and is already having trouble making friends with other students. Zeke rushes to the bathroom and sells his uppers plus fake IDs to other boys while Casey deals with his wound in a stall. In the teacher's lounge, the faculty members notice that Willis has been drinking much more water than usual. Olsen comes in and has a very awkward conversation with him. During class, the very shy Miss Burke is impressed by Zeke, who manages to give a very smart answer, although he's usually a bad student. In the corridor, Stan tells his girlfriend Delilah that he's quitting the team to concentrate on his studies. Delilah breaks up with him because she thinks cheerleaders must only date football players. Later, during lunch break, Mary Beth tries to befriend Stokely and they get interrupted by Delilah, who keeps mocking Stokely and causes her to leave. Stokely goes back inside and notices Olsen behaving very strange. Meanwhile, Casey finishes having lunch near the football field, and on his way out, he finds a strange bug on the grass. Casey goes to science class and shows the bug to Mr. Furlong, who puts it on the microscope. He thinks it's similar to a species that usually lives inside the kidney of squid and octopi, which doesn't make sense because they're on Ohio. There are parts of the creature that Furlong doesn't recognize, meaning it may be a new species. When the students accidentally spill a glass of water on the creature, it starts moving, so Furlong throws it in their aquarium. The little animal immediately starts swimming and even reveals very thin barbels. Furlong puts his hand inside as the creature suddenly replicates itself and bites his finger with sharp teeth. They decide they'll call the university to let them handle this. Back to Stan, he tells Willis that he's quitting the team. To his shock, Willis takes it quite well. Afterward, Stan goes to the showers, where he's suddenly startled by a sick-looking Mrs. Brummel. She says that she can't breathe and that they want everyone, while Stan yells at Casey to get help. Then Stan tries to comfort her only for a chunk of her scalp to get stuck on his hand. After class, Olsen tells Stan and Casey that Brummel had cancer, asking them to keep her privacy. Casey looks through the window and notices Willis standing under a bunch of sprinklers, but Olsen stops him from taking a picture. In the parking lot, Zeke continues to sell naughty objects to other students. Burke sees him and tries to scold him because he could be a model student, however she's still too shy and Zeke just mocks her with his naughty products until she leaves. Meanwhile, Casey meets with Delilah because they both work for the school paper. After noticing a delivery of too many water bottles, they enter the faculty lounge to look for dirt on their teachers. At that moment they hear Olsen and Willis coming, so they hide in the closet. Willis keeps drinking water and Olsen even throws some on her face. Then they have a strange conversation about how the climate killed Brummel and the entire faculty being commuted, so now they just need to get the students. Soon the school's nurse comes in too and Olsen and Willis surround her. They push her on the couch and Willis' face changes before he bites her ear. Casey and Delilah panic and back away, accidentally hitting and revealing Brummel's body. Hearing the noise, Willis opens the closet door and the teens immediately hit their teachers before running away. On their way out, the nurse grabs Delilah's leg but Casey pulls her away. The duo finds Drake and beg for help, but she just smiles when she sees Willis and the others. Realizing she's part of the conspiracy, the teens run out of the school. Moments later, Casey comes back with the police and his parents. They check the closet and only find a resuscitation doll, so Casey is scolded for playing bad pranks. Then Drake talks to a cop in private and Casey notices the officer starting to behave strangely too. Drake also wants to talk to Casey's parents, but he fears they may get changed as well and begs them to go home. Later in Casey's room, his parents search every corner to make sure he isn't hiding any uppers. They take away his phone, the internet, his music, and his dirty magazines as they ground him. Afterward, Casey tries to sneak out through the window and is shocked to see some teachers on his front lawn. He slips and falls to the ground, where the teachers almost get him. However, when Casey's dad comes out, the teachers disappear. The next day, Casey is forced to go to school even though he doesn't want to, and he worries when he sees Willis talking to his dad. In the teachers' lounge, all of them keep drinking crazy amounts of water and even fix the air conditioner. In class, Stokely accidentally falls on Stan's lap and they start chatting, connecting over their wants for the future. The teacher announces they're having a special test on which they must write down the name of every single living relative of theirs. Later in the corridor, Stan and Stokely notice lots of students are waiting in line for a supposed ear checkup. Stokely tries spying on them but the door gets closed. Stan also sees Olsen arriving with a bunch of cops. Meanwhile, Zeke meets Marybeth and while they bond, he offers his uppers, but she turns them down. Zeke watches the other students behaving more calmly than usual, not to mention a long line at the drinking fountain. 2 students come to buy all of Zeke's remaining uppers and get intense when he doesn't have more to offer. They're suddenly interrupted by Burke, who has gained confidence and is wearing provocative clothes. Burke insults Zeke and embarrasses him in front of everyone. In the library, Casey asks Stokely for help because she's into weird fiction. After he shares what happened, she makes a joke about alien stories and Casey thinks she may be right. Afterward, they meet with Stan and Delilah and the group goes to the science lab, where they find the aquarium empty. While they discuss the alien theory, Zeke brings Marybeth to the room next to the lab to search for chemical supplies to make more uppers. After sharing a kiss, they overhear the alien conversation and Zeke decides to play a prank, pretending to be hurt by aliens as he and Marybeth enter the lab. They're suddenly interrupted by Furlong, who demands an explanation. Zeke mentions Casey's alien theory to embarrass him, only for Furlong to cover the window and claim he sent the weird creatures to the university. When Zeke tries to leave, Furlong pushes him to the ground. Casey tries to attack him and gets grabbed by the neck while Delilah is pushed when she tries the same. Zeke takes the blade off a paper cutter and when he slashes Furlong's hand, the severed fingers just start crawling towards the others. Furlong jumps on Zeke and reveals small tentacles coming out of his cut fingers, so Zeke stabs him in the eye with one of his upper pens before kicking him off. As the fingers try to crawl on top of the teens, Furlong throws Zeke against the aquarium yet suddenly he starts stepping back and falls. The group checks on him and finds him dead, making them realize these creatures are weak to Zeke's illegal powder. Casey sees the parasite has come out of Furlong and grabs it for evidence. Afterward, the group leaves the lab and as they walk through the corridor, they notice all the other students staring at them. Those in class are also behaving as perfect little angels. They make it to the parking lot and leave in Zeke's car, trying on the radio but it's all static. There are cops blocking the road outside the school, but Zeke just makes a sudden turn and drives away anyway. Later at Zeke's house, they gather in his garage lab and discover he has a gun. Casey gives the parasite to Zeke, who drops it in a rat cage and drops some water on it. The parasite immediately reacts and grabs the rat to infect it through its ear. Then Zeke dissects the rat and discovers that this is some alien parasite that attaches itself to a host and controls it. They need moisture to survive, which explains their weakness. Zeke's upper is a diuretic and it dried out the parasite inside the Furlong, killing it. Stokely theorizes that there must be an alien queen connected to the rest of the parasites. If they kill the queen, they can eliminate all the parasites at the same time. An argument ensues over how to proceed and they realize any of them could secretly have an alien inside. Zeke announces they'll have to take his powder to prove they're clean. Casey takes it first and starts giggling as it takes effect. Zeke refuses to take his own stuff, so Stan grabs the gun and forces him to. Soon Stan and Stokely also sniff the powder and join the silly giggling. When it's finally time for Marybeth and Delilah, the girls dare each other and get ready. Marybeth takes hers, however Delilah suddenly drops the pen and reveals she's already infected. Then Delilah pushes Stan away while Casey grabs the gun, but he doesn't dare to shoot. Stokely takes it from him and opens fire as Delilah starts trashing the lab, not wanting Zeke to make more powder to kill the other parasites. Stokely's shots miss and Delilah bursts through the door to escape. The others try chasing after her, but there's already a taxi waiting for her and she quickly goes away. After Zeke gathers the powder he has left in a jar, the group drives back to the school, where the big game is happening. There's a large amount of people attending the event, which means they must stop the aliens tonight or the parasites will spread. The group gathers at the gym and theorizes that Drake must be the queen because she's the principal and has access to all the teachers. As if summoned, Drake appears in the gym as well and Stan immediately tackles her, using a volleyball net and Zeke's help to capture her. Next, Zeke rushes to lock the doors and Stan threatens Drake with the gun, asking her to sniff the powder. Drake refuses and Casey considers stabbing her with the pen, but seeing her desperately beg makes him hesitate. Frustrated, Zeke takes the gun and shoots Drake in the head. Seeing her bleed out normally, the group wonders if they've made a mistake. However, Drake stands up and the parasites begin leaving her body. Marybeth panics and throws the entire powder jar at her, killing her. Now they need to know if the plan worked before the crowd goes home, so Stan volunteers to go out and check. Before he leaves, Zeke gives him the gun and Stokely kisses him. Stan makes it to the field and is shocked to see the football team surrounding Willis, whose parasites are coming out to enjoy the rain. Moments later, Stan reappears at the gym door and they pass him a powder pen under the door so he can prove he's fine. Stan grabs it and throws the powder out before running away. Since they're out of powder, Zeke will have to get the pens he's got in his car trunk. He and Casey leave the gym, carefully sneaking around the parking lot and hiding under a bus when they see the football team passing by. Casey decides to be bait and starts running, making the team chase him while Zeke goes to his car. Soon Casey manages to hide inside another bus, only to be found by Delilah. As she corners him, the football players surround the bus and start breaking in through the windows. Casey jumps just in time and manages to escape through the emergency roof hatch. Meanwhile, Zeke searches his trunk but can't find the pens. At that moment he's approached by Burke, who keeps flirting with him. He gets in his car and tries to start it, however Burke bursts through the window. As Zeke drives off, a bunch of pens fall from the glove compartment. He tries to grab one while Burke tries to infect him, causing him to lose control of the car. He quickly recovers and decides to crash the car against a bus, causing a small explosion and a fire. Thankfully Zeke only gets a small injury and leaves the car with the pens, only to find Burke's head moving around on tentacles. She's distracted by trying to reach her body, so Zeke runs away. At the gym, Stokely gets suspicious of Mary Beth when she talks about pretending to be someone they're not. Suddenly Mary Beth punches her and starts transforming into her real alien form, revealing she's the Queen. At that moment Casey comes back and runs with Stokely to the pool. The Queen chases after them and jumps into the water before using her tentacles to catch Stokely, who hits her head on the floor and is dragged into the pool. Stokely soon wakes up and quickly swims to the surface before the Queen can kill her, then Casey helps her out and they run away again. In the locker room, the duo hides while Mary Beth comes after them in her human form. Then Zeke also arrives and finds Stokely and Mary Beth, who are accusing each other of being the Queen. Remembering Mary Beth being prudish, Zeke notices she's now naked and knows she's the alien. He doesn't understand how she passed the test, so Mary Beth explains she cut the bottom of the pen to drop the powder while pretending to sniff it with a plugged nose. Zeke gets ready to stab her with a pen, but Stokely stops him because she's also infected. As Mary Beth goes away and Stokely reveals her tentacles, Casey comes out to drag her away and lock her up in the storage cell. Afterward Casey returns to Zeke, who makes him take more powder just in case. Casey sniffs it and proves he's fine, then he and Zeke start running as they see the shadow of the alien Queen approaching. The effects of the powder make Casey slow and he loses Zeke, who suddenly is thrown across the room and falls unconscious. Casey hears the Queen and when he steps back, Stokely grabs him by the hair, so he has to painfully pull to escape. Soon Mary Beth takes her human form again and while she wanders around, she explains her home planet is dying and that's why she came to Earth. Meanwhile Casey sneaks back to Zeke's body and takes the pens before coming out of hiding, ready to attack. Mary Beth transforms once more and her tentacles start bringing down the lockers. Casey runs to the gym and activates the retracting bleachers, hiding behind them to lure the Queen there. After a short chase, he manages to jump right before the bleachers finish closing and trap the huge alien. Then Casey stabs her with the pen at the same time she infects him with a bunch of parasites. Luckily the powder quickly kills the Queen and the parasites inside Casey die as well. Afterward Casey checks on Stokely and confirms she's fine. Zeke suddenly startles them, but he's fine as well. A month later, everyone in school is back to normal. Zeke has taken Stan's place on the football team and Burke comes to watch him practice. Stan is dating Stokely and Delilah is dating Casey, who has published his story and now he's seen as a national hero. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.